Okay, so psychic abilities, right. It's like everyone's got that little part of them that wonders, what if?
Oh, totally.
Like, what if there's more to us than meets the eye, you know?
Right.
And that's what we're diving into today, this whole idea of psychic abilities.
Yeah.
We've got this book, Psychic Exact Blueprint on How to Develop Psychic Abilities.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it really dives deep, you know?
Yeah.
It gets into telepathy and auras, even famous psychics throughout history.
Wow.
But the thing that really got me, it's this idea that we all have this potential within us.
See, that's what I find so fascinating about this book. It's like, forget those stereotypical images of like crystal balls and, vague predictions.
Yeah.
This book is saying that psychic abilities are more like learning a skill.
Okay, I like that.
Like you wouldn't pick up a piano and expect to play like Mozart overnight.
No, definitely not.
Exactly.
No.
It takes practice, dedication, and tapping into your subconscious mind. It's the same thing. It's like any other skill you want to develop.
So it's like we've all got this hidden superpower, but instead of a cape, we need to train our subconscious.
Exactly.
And actually, speaking of the subconscious, that's something the book digs into. It talks about the conscious, subconscious, and even the unconscious mind.
Right.
And how these different levels of consciousness play a role in psychic abilities.
So it's like, think of your mind like an iceberg.
Okay, I'm with you.
The part you see above the water, that's your conscious mind.
Right.
Logical, aware, but it's limited by your experiences.
Yeah.
But the subconscious, that's the massive part hidden beneath the surface.
Oh, I see.
And that's where it gets interesting. It's like, that's where your true potential lies. Those aha moments, those flashes of insight.
And that's where our psychic abilities hang out, down there in the depths.
That's what the book proposes.
Yeah.
It's about going beyond just like everyday thinking, tapping into something deeper.
And it gets even wilder because then the book goes on to talk about the unconscious mind.
Maybe.
It describes it as this wellspring of like pure inspiration, maybe even connected to this universal network of consciousness.
Whoa.
I know, right?
That's a lot to unpack.
It really is. It uses this analogy of the 100th monkey theory. Have you heard of that?
I have.
So imagine if, just like those monkeys, as more people tap into their intuition or experience telepathy, it somehow makes that ability stronger in others.
Like a ripple effect.
Exactly, like this feedback loop of expanded consciousness.
Wow.
Okay, now we're really getting into it. This is making me think about auras. Have you ever gotten like a weird vibe from someone, just like this inexplicable feeling?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The book says that could actually be you sensing their aura.
Because the book describes auras as these energy fields that surround all living things. And what's interesting is children are actually way more sensitive to these energies than adults are.
Really?
Yeah. It's like as we grow up, we tend to focus more on the physical world.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
I know, right? We lose that sensitivity. But there are actually exercises you can do to help you start to recognize auras. Like, one is to focus on a black dot between two colored circles.
Really? Okay, I have to try that.
You should. It's pretty wild.
Okay, now let's talk about something I think we've all fantasized about.
Okay.
Telepathy.
Oh, yeah.
Who hasn't wished they could read someone's mind? But how is that different from just like being good at reading body language? Like, if I can finish my best friend's sentences,
Right.
does that mean I'm telepathic?
Well, the book makes a clear distinction there. True telepathy, it says, it's about receiving messages directly from another person's subconscious mind, not just picking up on their physical cues.
Oh, so it's way deeper than that.
Way deeper. It's about achieving this deep meditative state to really tune in.
Okay, so less Sherlock Holmes and more like pure mind-to-mind connection.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. Now, the book also gets into intuition. You know that gut feeling we all get? Have you ever had that voice inside like screaming at you to do something or not do something?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
And you ignore it, and then later you're like, ugh, I should have listened.
The worst.
I know. So the book talks about intuition as our inner guide.
Which makes sense because it's often right.
Right. It's about learning to quiet the mind, cut through the noise, to actually hear what your intuition's telling you.
It's like finding that signal in all the noise.
Exactly. And, it actually recommends things like meditation and spending time in nature to help strengthen your intuition.
Oh, I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to something else that's always captivated people, and that's fortune telling.
Oh, yeah.
This book, it covers it all. Palm reading, tarot cards. It even mentions domino readings.
Domino readings.
Domino readings.
I've never even heard of that.
Me neither. But I think what's so interesting is how all of these practices, as different as they may be, they all come from this same human desire to understand the unknown.
To peek into the future, maybe get a little guidance.
Totally. Like take palm reading, for example. The book says it goes back thousands of years, originating in India.
Wow.
I know, right? It's incredible how it's managed to survive all this time.
It really is.
And then there's tarot cards.
Mhm.
Did you know that despite those claims of ancient Egyptian origins, they actually originated in 15th century Europe?
Really?
Yep. They started as playing cards and then later became associated with fortune-telling and the occult.
That's so fascinating how their use evolved over time.
I know, right? And what I thought was really cool was how the book included examples of fortune-telling methods from all these different cultures.
Oh, like what?
So like tea leaf reading, runes, interpreting omens.
Yeah.
It just shows you that this desire to know what the future holds, it's like a universal human thing.
It's like we're all searching for those little clues, those glimpses into what might be.
Exactly. And that brings us to another aspect the book explores. Famous psychics throughout history.
Okay. Like who?
Well, we're talking oracles in ancient Egypt, the Oracle of Delphi, even Nostradamus. It's mind-blowing to think that even powerful rulers like pharaohs relied on oracles for guidance.
Wow. I mean, that's serious clout.
Right. These oracles were seen as these intermediaries between the gods and humanity, consulted for, like, everything, from military strategy to predicting harvests. It really makes you wonder if they were tapping into something real.
Right. Because how else would they have had that kind of influence?
Exactly. And then the book goes on to talk about ancient Greece and the Oracle of Delphi.
Oh, yes. The one at the Temple of Apollo.
One and only. The book says she had this huge influence on Greek society.
Makes sense. Everyone who was anyone went to the Oracle of Delphi.
It's like her pronouncements, which were often super cryptic, by the way, ended up guiding political and military decisions for centuries.
Centuries. That's incredible.
Right. And then, of course, there's Nostradamus, the 16th century apothecary and seer.
Oh, yeah. Nostradamus,
Yeah.
everyone's favorite cryptic prophet.
Exactly. His prophecies, as vague as they often are, people are still debating them and analyzing them today.
And trying to connect them to current events.
Oh, totally. Especially anything to do with, like, global change or disaster. It's like his predictions have this weird, timeless quality to them.
It's true. Like, they could apply to any era.
Right. From ancient oracles to Nostradamus, the book then jumps to some more recent figures like Jeane Dixon, Annette Martin, John Edwards.
Okay? More modern-day psychics.
Exactly. They were all famous for their supposed psychic abilities, but of course they faced a lot of skepticism and controversy too.
Because that's the thing about psychic abilities, right? They're hard to prove.
Exactly. It's like, how do you measure something like that?
Right. It's not like you can just whip out a ruler or do a blood test.
Exactly. And that leads us to, like, the big question surrounding all of this. Can science and psychic abilities coexist? Can you prove this stuff scientifically?
The age-old debate.
Right. It's something that scientists and skeptics have been grappling with for years.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to fit these really big kind of abstract ideas into these very rigid boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's tough because you're dealing with these subjective experiences.
Right.
How do you measure those objectively? But the book does try to offer some potential scientific explanations.
Okay. Like what?
Well, it brings up Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that. But remind me.
So it's this idea that we're all connected to this, like, wellspring of shared human experiences, these universal archetypes.
So like we're all tapping into this one giant pool of consciousness. Exactly. It's like we're all swimming in it, whether we realize it or not.
That's a trippy thought. But it would explain a lot, right?
It really would.
Okay, so say, hypothetically, we buy into this collective unconscious thing. How do we tap into our own psychic potential? Like, does the book give us any practical advice?
Oh, it definitely does. It gets really practical, actually.
Okay, good. Because I'm ready to unlock my psychic powers.
Well, the book would say it all starts with meditation.
Meditation.
Yeah.
Of course. It always comes back to meditation.
It really does. Because meditation helps you quiet that conscious mind, you know?
Yeah.
Like all that mental chatter, it quiets down.
Create space.
Yeah, and that's when your intuition can start to come through.
So it's like our intuition is always there. It's just waiting for us to, like, finally put down our phones and listen.
Exactly. It's always there. We just have to tune in.
I like that. Okay, so the book also talks about chakras. Can you explain what those are?
Okay, so have you ever felt like blocked creatively or emotionally.
Oh, all the time.
Right. Well, the book describes chakras as these energy centers in our bodies.
Okay, I'm picturing like little glowing orbs or something.
Right, something like that. And when they're blocked or out of whack, it can really mess with your energy flow, including those subtle psychic vibes we've been talking about.
Oh, I see.
There are 7 main chakras, and each one is associated with different parts of you, physically, emotionally, even spiritually.
Wow, so it's like our bodies have this whole energetic anatomy we're not even aware of.
Right. And when those energy systems are balanced, that's when we can really start to tap into our full potential.
Oh, that's so interesting. It's like we're way more than just these physical bodies walking around.
Exactly. There's so much more to us.
I'm into it. So the book also talks about training your mind's eye. What does that even mean?
So think of it like this. It's like strengthening your imagination. It's that ability to really visualize, see things clearly in your mind, even if they're not physically in front of you.
Okay, so like daydreaming with a purpose.
Exactly. And this is key for things like clairvoyance.
Clairvoyance, that's where you can like see things beyond the physical realm, right?
Exactly. So like instead of physically seeing something, you're perceiving it with your mind's eye.
Whoa, that's wild.
It is pretty wild. The book actually gives some cool exercises to help train your mind's eye, like imagining objects in detail, creating mental landscapes, even practicing remote viewing.
Wait, remote viewing? That's a real thing? I thought that was just for like sci-fi movies.
Well, it might sound like it, but it's actually a really fascinating area of research.
Okay, but how does it work? Do you like close your eyes and try to see through walls?
Sort of. It involves going into this deep meditative state. You quiet the mind, focus your intention on a specific location or object, and then just allow impressions to emerge in your mind's eye.
So you're basically mentally traveling to that location.
Exactly. It's like a form of psychic tourism.
Okay, that's officially blowing my mind. What about telepathy? Because, I mean, that's like the holy grail of psychic abilities.
Right.
Does the book actually say you can, like, develop that?
It does, and it builds on a lot of what we just talked about. So meditation is key, right?
Right.
Getting to that clear, still, quiet state of mind.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's about focusing your intention on either sending or receiving a telepathic message.
So it's about, like, harnessing your thoughts, directing your energy with, like, laser focus.
Yes, exactly. The book even suggests trying to send simple messages to a friend or loved one, or try to sense when someone's trying to send you a thought.
Oh, like a psychic game of catch. I like it.
Exactly. It'd be fun, too.
Now, what about intuition? We've been talking around it this whole time, but does the book actually give any practical tips for strengthening your intuition?
It does. And one of the key things it emphasizes is remembering that your intuition is that inner voice. It's your gut feeling.
Right.
And often that voice is trying to guide you in the right direction.
Right, but sometimes it's hard to trust it, especially if it goes against what your head is telling you.
Totally. And that's why the book talks about silencing that inner critic,
Yeah.
learning to discern between those thoughts that are driven by fear and those that are coming from a place of genuine intuition. It encourages you to really listen to your body, to those subtle cues and sensations.
Oh, so it's like a mind-body connection.
Exactly. It's about paying attention to those physical sensations, those gut feelings.
Mm.
Do you feel a sense of expansion, a lightness when you think about something? Or do you feel a contraction, heaviness?
Oh, wow. I've never thought about it like that, but that makes so much sense.
Right. Our bodies are always giving us feedback. We just have to learn to listen.
I like it. It's like our intuition is speaking to us through our bodies.
Exactly. It's all connected.
It is kind of like you're helping them navigate,
Totally.
their own inner world.
Absolutely.
And speaking of navigating, the book also talks about the challenges of being psychic.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hello, dealing with skeptics
Oh, for sure.
and negativity.
Right. Because not everyone's going to get it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It's hard not to take that stuff personally, though.
Oh, totally. But that's where, like, having a strong sense of self-belief comes in.
Right.
Trusting your own experiences,
Yeah.
even if other people don't understand.
Like you're following your own internal compass, not letting anyone else tell you what direction to go.
Exactly. And it's a journey, this whole psychic development thing. It's not like you reach some endpoint and you're like the all-knowing psychic master.
Yeah, it's got to be more about the process, right?
Exactly. It's about continuous growth,
Yeah.
constantly expanding your awareness.
That's kind of exciting when you think about it like that.
It totally is. And you know what? The book ends on such a hopeful note. It talks about how as more people tap into their potential, it creates this ripple effect.
Oh, I like that.
like a collective awakening of consciousness.
Okay, that gives me chills.
Like,
It's like we're all in this together, you
Yeah.
know? And the more we each evolve, the more we lift each other up.
Exactly. And what would happen if intuition and empathy were valued as much as logic and reason in our world?
Oh man, that's a great question.
That's the world this book envisions.
And honestly, I'm here for it.
Me too.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into psychic abilities.
I agree.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling super inspired.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm ready to try that aura viewing exercise.
Yes. Do it.
Maybe dust off my meditation cushion.
There you go.
And definitely start paying more attention to those little intuitive nudges.
Yes. Listen to that inner voice.
Yes. So, for everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this wild ride into the world of the sixth sense. Until next time, keep exploring and remember, anything is possible.